The one person literally just last week said, when's my turn to come to reality wrestling? And it was Cora Jade. And now I found out, we all found out that Cora Jade suffered an ACL tear. She's going to be out of action for quite some time. I don't know. I know ACL tear, that could be 3 to 6 to 9 months to a year.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. According to how bad the tear is, of course. I've never had an ACL tear myself. I had a couple of scopes, but everybody I've known that had the ACL has always been a process, always been some rehab involved, and then coming back. That process of just getting your wheels back up under you is not something that, it's not like riding a bicycle or anything like that. No, you got to actually do some work. And I say that because first time I got my knee scoped, I was supposed to do rehab, and I was like, oh man, forget about the rehab, I'm good. And I came back and I immediately screwed it up again, and I had to have another surgery for that same knee, and they had to scope it and clean it out. And that next time I did extensive rehab, and it was the toughest thing in the world. So it's definitely a process.
Yeah, and Cora just came back, it feels like a few weeks ago, made a return to, shake things up over there on NXT. I've always thought she was a great talent. She's obviously got age on her side. I think Cora Jade's like 22 or something like that, 23, 22, 23. So she's got time to kind of come back from that as far as, the length of her career. 6 to 9 months, I think, is the normal recovery time for something like that. And again, like I said, if you have age on your side, hopefully she can come back even sooner. But it's the old phrase now that I feel like I use every time someone has an injury. We want them back as fast as they can, but as slow as they must. And Cora, though, she's a mega talent book. I really do think she's got, the checklist. It's all there. Check.
Oh, yeah.
So it just sucks to see somebody's momentum kind of get cut off with an injury.
Well, injuries happen, and I don't know how it happened or anything like that. I know it was on one of the live events. I don't think Cora Jade do anything outside the norm, other than work. She's not like one of those like risk takers or anything like that. And especially on the house show, it could have been just about anything. But one thing about the like you say, injuries like that, it's not a matter of if they're going to happen. It's just a matter of when they're going to happen. Just about every one of us pretty much go through these injuries. But one thing that one thing I must say is we are having a lot of injuries with a lot of young guys, a lot of young girls. Let's talk about that when we come back. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. A lot of the young talent getting injured these days. And I was reading an article about some of the, excuse me, the way the training may be taking place these days may be having something to do with injuries with the talent on the roster. And me personally, I really don't agree with that. Because they're not getting injured in training. They're getting injured when they're working. I mean, right or wrong.
Oh, that's great. Great point.
I mean, that's just my point on that. But my thing is a lot of young talent. We've seen, just like, say, for instance, Sol Ruka, Nikita Lyons, and now Cora Jade have had, injuries. And the thing is, a lot of the guys have had injuries as well. And the thing is, I'm wondering, is it more the training or is it more the work style? Because I've heard, like some of the ladies say they want to work just as hard as the men. They want to go out there and, be able to do dives and, do stuff just like and take just as many risks as the men. I remember back in the day, it used to be the business was about going out there and, making sure you could do it the next day. But today, young wrestlers seem like throwing caution to the wind. It's just, something that they do on a regular basis. And I say that because, one of my guys, he actually wanted to jump off the scaffold one night, where we put the television cameras. He wanted to jump off of it. And I go, what sense does that make? And it'll be a great spot. Yeah, but you crack your skull and go to the hospital. So for me, a lot of things happen these days, I think, because of the risk that's being taken more so than anything. But aside to that, risk, it's not even about risk. Sometimes it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. You could. I watched RVD do that little backflip over a guy. A guy go for a backdrop, and RVD would do a little backflip and land on his feet and hit the ropes, whatever. I watched RVD do that move. I don't know, at least 100 times just in our career. You know what I mean? I'm sure he did it more than that. And one day he did it, and he blew his knee out, just like that. I mean, and he didn't do anything different than he had did for him probably 500 times, perhaps.
Right.
So it's not a matter of if; it's just a matter of when. And when I see someone try to make an analogy as far as why do people get hurt? Um, you know, uh, like I say, I just think it's the styles more than anything.
I think styles have a lot to do with it. I do know, I think there are less live event dates overall on the main roster than there used to be. I know that people in NXT, they train pretty much every day, so their body's getting some rigor done to it on a daily. But I agree with you. I think some of it is stylistically, or a lot of it. I mean, even if you look on the other side of the coin from some of the matches we saw this week, I mean, uh, there was the spot with Sting and Powerhouse Hobbs where they went through the two tables off the balcony or what have you. There was the moment with Sammy Guevara where he does a swanton off the scaffolding to the floor about 15, 17 feet, misses, bam, right on his back through the little, I'm sure it was a gimmick table that they had there. But, you can't really expect to do stuff like that and there not be a potential for injury. Even with Rob, as you said, it was something he did all the time, but still landing in a certain way and putting your body through a certain amount of pressure, stuff can pop, right?
Yeah, and there again, putting yourself in harm's way. I mean, Big E and Ridge Holland, I mean, of
Right.
course, as well. I mean, when you're working and not really thinking about the the ramifications, sometimes you're just throwing caution to it's a lot of fun sometimes until something like that happens. So but I don't blame anybody for going out there and getting injured for working hard. that's just that's
Right.
just that's just part of the game, as well as that's just where we are. With the business too. I can't imagine watching wrestling the way it was back in like in the 80s and the 70s. The way that guys were just walking around. Of course, we've evolved to this, and Mick Foley said he perhaps could take a lot of blame for the kids jumping on stuff and going extreme. And there again, throwing caution to the wind, not thinking about how the body is going to feel 10, 15, 20 years later. But as far as the training methods or anything like that, I really don't think it's the training methods or anything like that. I don't think you know that has a whole lot to do with somebody going out there in the ring and getting hurt. But I can say the way we did it and the way they do it now is totally two totally different styles of wrestling.